The first section of 1.5 involves a lot of vocabulary. We're going to be using this vocabulary throughout the entire course, so get familiar with these words. The first word is adjacent angles. Adjacent means next to. So adjacent angles are two angles that share a vertex and share a side. So if this is angle 1, for angle 2 to be adjacent, we're going to have to start at the same vertex and share this side. Some common mistakes for adjacent angles. Two angles that share a vertex, like angle 1 and angle 2, but have another angle in between them. Or two angles that share a side, like angle 1 and angle 2, but do not have a common vertex. Our second definition is complementary. Two angles are complementary if, when I add their measures together, I get for an answer 90 degrees. So if I take angle 1 and I find its measure and I add it to angle 2, if I get 90 degrees, then those angles will be complementary. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, their sum equals 90 degrees. Our third vocabulary word, supplementary angles. Two angles are supplementary if, when I add the measures of their angles, I find the sum of their measures, I get for an answer 180 degrees. Now, complementary and supplementary are often mixed up. The way that I remember, the way that I keep them straight in my head, I think complementary, corner. And I think supplementary, straight line. A corner is 90 degrees. A straight line is 180 degrees. Now we're going to combine a couple of our definitions to create a new definition. Linear pair. We have adjacent angles that their non-common sides form opposite rays. So we need to take this picture and the non-common sides, these two sides, we need to form a pair of opposite rays. So our picture for a linear pair looks like this. We're going to start with a vertex, and we're going to start with opposite rays, two rays that go in opposite directions. Together they form a straight line. And we have to have two adjacent angles. So here's angle 1 and here's angle 2. Now a linear pair will be supplementary. So we're combining our definitions. Supplementary angles that are adjacent form a linear pair. Vertical angles. Vertical angles form two pairs of opposite rays. Well, an opposite ray, a pair of opposite rays, forms a straight line. So if we have two pairs of opposite rays, we really have two lines. So we're going to start with a point, and we're going to make one pair of opposite rays. Well, there's my first line. And now we're going to have a second pair of opposite rays. And when I do that, I create 4 angles. Now the angles that are vertical are going to be the angles that are across from each other. So angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical. And angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical. So don't think vertical means up and down like it did in algebra. Vertical means across from. So if we have vertical angles, 1 and 3 are vertical, and 2 and 4 are vertical. Let's look at a picture where we have to describe these angles. Angle 1 and angle 5. Well, angle 1 and angle 5 share a vertex, and they share a side. That means that they are adjacent. If I take the measure of angle 1 and I add the measure of angle 5, I'm going to get 180 degrees, which means that they are supplementary. And if they're adjacent and supplementary, they're going to form a linear pair. So angle 1 and angle 5 are actually all three of those definitions. 1 and 4. Well, if I look, I have one pair of opposite rays and two pairs of opposite rays. So 1 and 4 share a vertex, and their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. They're going to be vertical. 3 and 4. Well, 3 and 4 share a vertex, and they share a side, so they're going to be adjacent. And if I look, if angle 2 is 90 degrees, that means that this line is perpendicular to this line, which means that this angle is also 90 degrees, which means that 3 and 4 are going to be complementary. And lastly, 5 and 3. 5 and 3 share a vertex and one pair of opposite rays. But if you look, the other side of angle 3 and the other side of angle 4 do not form opposite rays. So 3 and 5 are not vertical. They're across from each other, but I don't have two pairs of opposite rays. 3 and 5 are actually nothing of each other.